Hey all, so this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm here in my studio. I've been doing some recording, some filming, just a boatload of stuff. I'm actually working on a pop album. But anyway, I was browsing Facebook one day and I came across this thing that said, it's basically a guy who's trying to sell to musicians this service where you can get your digital, and listen to this closely, folks, where you can get your digital music converted into essentially a record, and that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the two are very different. And today I'm going to demonstrate why that makes no sense. I'm going to try and make something go from digital to analog. And of course, we can't use digital audio workstations to do this because we're going backwards. Now, typically what happens whenever you see something that says digitally remastered, all that means is that somebody put it into a DAW, which is a digital audio workstation, and they went in and corrected it. So I'm going to play a little clip of a Frank Loreby song, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So I took this from a record recording, and I remastered it.
Well, playing baseball after school in the city. Friday nights they'd be dancing in the high school gym, and the ladies were so young and so pretty. But then at last the time would put it into my world, to the red and white and blue Monday mornings. Now my lady, she drinks whiskey nearly any time she wants, and she leaves me in the night, oh, without a warning. I used to sing such a happy song.
Okay, so that'll give you an idea. So yeah, since I'm going to be using tape, not a record. They are virtually the same thing. They have the same flaws, same wow and flutter. You run into the same mechanical issues with all analog stuff, and that's why digital is always better. So yeah, what I've done is I've taken a recording that I made, that I commercially released, that I produced, I wrote, whole 9 yards, right? And I put it onto a tape. So we're going to check that out in a second, and you will see why this is such a ripoff. And this will sound this way on I don't care if you're doing reel-to-reel, if you're doing cassette tape, if you're doing record, the same thing is going to happen, and it is a rip-off, kids. So please do not convert your digital stuff into analog. It doesn't work that way. We can barely make analog convert to digital well. So here we go. Okay, so here we have my trusty and somewhat dusty basically it's a CD player, it's a radio, and it's a tape player all in one. The tape player or recorder really will record the radio, and it will also record the CD. Now this thing is ancient, so it's going to take us a second, but we're going to listen to, I'm going to crank the volume a little here. We're going to listen to the digital version of the song that I wrote called Ah Yes. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, just a little clip. so you guys get the idea. Sounds pretty, right? And it sounds, you'll notice because it's digital, it sounds tinnier than analog does. So what I've done is I've already recorded this, and here is what the same song sounds like, complete with wow and flutter on a analog medium. You'll hear some pretty bad noise in the beginning. That's just kind of an underlying thing with analog when you try to capture it, when you try to capture digital with analog. Anyway, here we go. So that underlying sound is always going to be there. I haven't changed the volume either. Okay, so that's what that sounds like. So now, of course, the question is, why? Basically, it's because analog can carry more frequencies than digital can because it's analog. Similar to the way that an acoustic piano will sound significantly different than a digital piano. One of those reasons is because analog instruments have what we call overtones to them, and digital can only attempt to recreate it. It can't really make true overtones the way that an acoustic instrument can. So it's very similar with tape and records and all that other jazz. The other problem too is because there are essentially less frequencies in digital, there's just kind of this blank space when you convert it to analog that has no frequencies in it because there's no overtones and it's just a more limited band essentially. Of course, I'm dumbing all this down, but it's the basic reason why. So again, musicians do not buy into this stuff. I saw one on Facebook, like I said. It was a guy who was trying to make records so that way you could send records to your fans. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of my fans don't even own a record player. And this is another practical aspect to it. Yes, the last part of generation, what are we called? The millennials, right? The last part of the millennials will probably have maybe a tape player somewhere, but we ain't gonna have a record player. And really, it's just musicians who have these things because we tend to like analog more than digital. I am the exception to that rule. I like digital more than I like analog because I like a cooler sound, not a warmer sound. And that's essentially the listening difference, the audible difference between digital and analog. So yeah, just release your stuff digitally. If you want to release stuff analog, record it analog. Record it on a tape. You can hook up a mixer to a tape deck that has, a record input and stuff like that. But honestly, I mean, that's this day and age, that's like caveman recording, My first studio was actually just a little laptop, an amplifier, and a tape deck. And my tape deck, I just recorded what I put on the what is the word, on the computer to tape, which is like ass backwards, right? And it sounded the same way. And sometimes you can certainly use this to achieve a certain effect. But the problem is that when you go to take the analog tape, so you've converted, quote unquote, your digital to analog, right? And you like this sort of weird muffly sound that it makes, and that's all well and good. And you say, okay, well, now I'm going to digitize that. Then it gives you a completely different sound because you have the same problem. The digital doesn't pick up all of the analog frequencies. So yeah, if you really, really, really want to make a record, like one of these guys back here, if you want to make this, record your music in analog, preferably on a reel-to-reel tape machine, a multi-track reel-to-reel tape machine, those old industrial ones. They are scarce and they're really expensive because they are expensive to maintain. They don't make parts for them anymore. You have to calibrate them. I've worked with them, and honestly, it's just not worth it. I even was thinking about doing some reel-to-reel recordings and doing that, creating an analog album that I would then digitize. But it's just too much work. Just use your damn computer, use Pro Tools or FL Studio or what have you, and just stick to DAW. It's just better because all this stuff is a ripoff. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I hope you guys learned a lesson, and I'm really hoping you don't get ripped off by these companies because it's crap. Thanks. Take it easy.